This is Sam's O-Gauge Trains with RJ's Trains from the Model Train Talk podcast, and today I'm with Greg from the Nassau Lionel Operating Engineers Club. How you doing today?
Really good. How you guys doing?
Fantastic, yeah. Thank you again for coming on to the podcast and stuff like that. Really appreciate it.
Great. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So, first question, how'd you get into the hobby?
I think I was born into the hobby, to tell you the truth. My dad's been a Lionel collector, since he was a kid. I've heard a story about when I was, 3 months old, my dad set up the trains and, he said, my eyes lit up and I went crazy. 1981, my second Christmas, right before I turned 2 years old, I got my first Lionel set. And all time a kid, I got trains for Christmas, trains for my birthday. I had to lay out my room, loved it. Then, kind of like everybody else, when I became a teenager, when I hit like 14, 15, I started playing music. I started playing in bands, going to shows. So my life became, like the Long Island hardcore scene was every other day there was bands to go see in a small place somewhere. Did that for a long time. When I got burnt out from doing that, I thought to myself, hey, I need to do something else. I need a hobby again. And I took my trains out and I set them up. I was like, oh man, this is still fun. And then Command Control had come out by that point, and all the scale stuff was coming out by that point. And I went from thinking my MPC stuff were these big, beautiful trains, and then I'm like, oh, this doesn't work. I need a Premier engine. And one Premier engine led to two, and so on and so forth. And now the MPC is all packed away somewhere, and it's, nothing but Premier steam.
Definitely, yeah. It's very exciting when you find like all those old trains that you used to have before, and it's like Christmas all over again.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, you kept adding on to your collection. I'm pretty sure everyone can relate who's listening right now that you can't stop. You just got to buy more. Yeah, you can't stop. Any questions you have, RJ?
Addiction.
Yeah.
It is. Like I feel like the Penske had 800 K4s. I don't think it's ridiculous that I have 3.
No,
you have less than the Long Island Railroad had.
Make a fair point.
So behind you, you've got your wonderful club layout, the Nassau Lionel Operating Engineers Club. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the club and how you became involved in it?
Yeah, well, the club has been around since 1983. This layout that we're at now is our second location. When I was younger, my dad used to take me to the open houses at the original location every Christmas. And they always had a big sign that would be out on the main highway maybe a month before, and it would say train show. And like we would know, like we'd drive by in October and say, oh yeah. And we'd always go to the open house. It was always a big deal. And when I got back into the hobby again, when I set up my own layout, and I was kind of looking around online, looking on eBay to buy stuff, just finding the forums, I thought to myself, what happened to those guys that used to be in the basement in Levittown? Let me look them up. And I found out, oh, we're in a new place. We have a brand new layout. We're building it from scratch. And I thought, oh, that's cool. I can get it on the ground floor when it's just nothing but open bench work and really do the whole thing of building the club layout. So when I joined, everything that's behind me was nothing but, I'm not even kidding, open grid work. There was just a couple of main lines and nothing. And I've been here for over 15 years now, and it's really turned into a real model railroad, which is really cool to be there to do.
Yeah, it looks really cool behind you in the background there. So, yeah. So you said you were involved about 15 years.
Yep.
So I guess, and when we were talking before this, you said that you are the vice president of the club.
I'm the vice president. Yep.
Do you want to talk about the journey it took to getting vice president, and why was that a goal you had in mind for yourself personally going into the club?
In the beginning, it wasn't a goal that I had. The main function of the vice president in this club is when we have our open house in December, October, and in the spring.
Okay.
It's the vice president's job to run the open house. And I went through, in the 15 years I was here, I went through several vice presidents. People came in and came out. And I was always kind of in the wings doing assistant stuff to that. I like making sure the trains are in the right sidings. Everything's going different directions. We have a variety of MTH, Lionel, post-war, Disney sets, scale sets. It's all about, getting it all mixed together. And I think a lot of the guys in the club saw that I really took the idea of putting on a show at the open house very seriously. like I said, I was doing a whole thing with playing bands for a long time, which, you know, it's putting on a performance. And I look at running our open house like I would a performance. And I think a lot of the guys really liked that. So they kind of pushed me. It's like, hey, you know, we had an election coming up, and the next guy is, you know, served his term, and we need somebody else. And they kind of told me, like, listen, we're voting for you. You're getting the job. And I said, you know what? If you guys want me to do it, I'll do it. It sounds great.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really cool. Anything you want to ask, RJ?
So, of course, the recent coronavirus pandemic has been shutting everything down. And, you know, being an insider at a train club, how has that affected train clubs? So maybe we can see a glimpse into the crystal ball.
Well, this happened. The COVID shutdown happened about a week before our spring open house.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to pull the plug on that open house at the last minute, which was a bummer because all of us were looking forward to it. We had a ton of trains set up and we were ready to go. Once COVID actually hit, we never technically shut our club down to the members, but we basically made it known to people, don't all come down here at the same time. Our meetings, we haven't had a meeting. Everything has really been put on hold, but one or two guys will come down here. I've been coming down. I guess the good thing about COVID is I've been coming down 4 or 5 times a week by myself. And some of the older scenery, like the first scenery on the layout that was done 15, 16 years ago, has a lot of dust on it. Trees got kicked over, hills got mushed. A lot of, like, the new stuff looks amazing and the old stuff really looks old. So I've been redoing, probably a third of the layout has gotten the scenery completely redone, which I guess is kind of a good thing, because if COVID wasn't happening, there'd be guys down here all the time and I wouldn't be able to be on the layout with, you know, things of ground foam all over the place. So I think we're going to come out of it better. We haven't lost any members. They're all doing very well. You know, we email each other nonsense all the time, which is fun. And a couple of guys, we're at a point now that it's opening up a little bit. You know, we'll get on a Friday night, 3 or 4 guys will come down. And, you know, we're trying to slowly ease our way back into it.
That sounds like a good action plan there. So you talked about, you know, kind of building scenery and everything. So I'm obviously not from Long Island. So what does the model depict? Is it like Long Island, or how did you model the layout?
We collectively decided that we're modeling Northeastern America, roughly 1950s-ish.
Okay.
And we're not hard to it, but if you look, the basic scene is Northeastern America, 1950s. Most of the buildings are painted for that. A lot of the scenery is depicting what you would see in 1950s America. But we have a modern intermodal yard that's right behind me. We have a big modern diesel shop. You know, we got Norfolk Southern trains all over the place on here. So it's kind of a mix of that, sticking to one era, but sprinkling in a little bit of everything else. So a modern Conrail diesel looks just as good as, you know, a wood-burning General.
Okay. So when people come to visit the layout, what is the most attractive thing that they see, or what sticks out to someone who comes into the layout and sees it and they're like, wow, this is really cool, this certain aspect of the layout?
The first thing, because it's an L-shaped layout and the room is L-shaped, so the first thing people see when they come in is kind of the little offshoot. And they look at it and go, oh man, this is huge, this is amazing. And then we say, go around that corner really quick. And then they go around the corner, you see them, it's like, wait, it keeps going? And the number one question we always get asked is, how long does it take you to take this down and set it back up for every open house? And then we say, well, it's permanent. It's been here for, you know, almost 20 years. And people can't believe that. I think people can't believe that for 20 years, a group of people can come together and just create something and keep creating it. And that seems to stand out to people a lot. And plus we have an army base that comes up out of the ground, and there's a button you push and this whole thing elevates, and people go crazy over that.
So that's obviously one of the, I guess the goals and the ideas for the club is just like coming together and creating something with people coming in with different backgrounds and everything like that, just coming together and just running trains and creating awesome stuff.
Yeah, there's very little, I don't want to say very little like-mindedness, because we're all like-minded, but I feel like everybody down here is so completely different in the way that they enjoy the club and they enjoy the layout. Personally, I'll set up a 40-car freight train and run it at 5 scale miles an hour, and it takes an hour for it to get around the layout, and I'm perfectly content with that. There's guys that think I'm crazy. There's some guys that bring down post-war, and they run it like it's on the floor. And they basically get it to just the right speed so it's not flying off the track. But it's like, there's no way to have fun wrong. We're all having fun the same way. The only really thing we stick to is we try and keep the scenery on the layout constant. Not this isn't in any way critiquing or bashing other clubs or anything like that. But in I've been to other clubs where people are you're allowed to have this area for a scene. You're allowed to have this area for a scene. You have 2 beautiful scenes, but you can tell the 2 different people made it. Our rule has always been that if you're going to do something, you have to flow it into what's already there. And almost like when you make something new, it has to look like it's already been there. Not like red and then yellow. It's got, or green then yellow. Colors that are opposite each other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's cool because we all agree, because when everybody steps back and looks at the layout and says, yeah, this flows beautifully and we want to keep this flow, even though somebody will say, listen, I have a crazy idea. We'll be like, all right, that's a crazy idea, but if we change it to this, make it a little less crazy and make it more crazy in this way, it works.
And so another thing is kind of like with the podcast, you talked about how everybody just is like, we're like-minded together, but everyone has a different aspect of the hobby. And I found the same thing with the podcast. Everyone I've interviewed is completely different. And, I'm just hoping to showcase that a little bit.
RJ, you start to notice that people, even though they have a different opinion on stuff, it's all the same opinion. It's all that we don't care that there's a third rail in the middle of the track. Yeah. And I get a stickler. If I buy a boxcar and the paint is wrong, I'll sell it on eBay. Like, I'll take it. I'll go, ugh, and get rid of it. I keep a list of all my road numbers in my phone at York. I'll be looking at hoppers and I'll be like, oh, I already have this number. And my dad will be like, doesn't matter that you already have that number. There's 3. I'm like, I can handle 3 rails. I can't handle 2 of the same road number. But I know other guys too that have 40 of the same boxcar, same number. They don't care. And they love it just as much as I do.
I have a friend and he always likes teasing me. Oh, you that's not realistic. And I'm like, I have 3 rails on my track. What do you mean it's not realistic?
I love the combination of realistic and unreal. Like, there are things that are completely unrealistic that I love. Like, one of my favorite train sets ever is the Burger King set that Lionel came out with in like 1982. Which, it's a big diesel with Burger King and a Red Lobster boxcar and a Wendy's caboose. I love it. I don't even eat at those places, and I love that set.
I think everybody likes something different, and somehow we're all able to come together and create magnificent pieces of work that you have standing behind you right there. So, you kind of talked about the club and you being vice president and everything. When you started that job, or I mean now even, what has been like the most memorable moment for you? The moment that has really impacted your presence at the club? Was there like a certain moment where you talked to somebody and it was just like, for you, it was just like,
I think it wasn't when I was vice president. It was during one of our open houses though. There was a mom down here who had an 8-year-old son, and I'm talking to this kid and he is quizzing me, like legitimately, like he knew more about locomotives than anybody I've ever talked to in my life. And he knew that he knew more about locomotives. And he was kind of like, he was asking me some easy stuff. Then he was throwing some tough questions at me. And it was funny because I started talking to his mom too. And she goes, nobody in our family likes trains. Nobody has. She's like, he woke up one morning and decided he likes trains. All he wants to do is read books about trains, watch videos about trains, and that's it. She goes, what do I do? I was like, I said, first of all, buy him more trains. And second of all, I'm like, make him go outside and play baseball every now and again. But that made me happy because people talk about, I hear a lot about, the people worry about the future of the hobby, which is something I don't worry about. And it made me realize too, like, this is great. There are people out there that are like me, that just love trains because something in your DNA. When God said brains, I thought he said trains. And I just went from there. And that just made me really happy. That also, and the other thing too is that happened at a few open houses. Something I've noticed that children that are on the autism spectrum love trains, and they love O-gauge trains. And this might not be all of them, but this is all the ones that come down here. And we've had a lot of families with autistic children come down here, and the reactions from those kids and from those families, I'm getting goosebumps saying it's great. It's fantastic. I've had people, just the most sincere thank yous of, he has trouble, but he is having such a good time right now, and just watching a train roll by. I don't know what the connection between trains and autism is, but somebody can write a book about that. And that's a really good feeling, seeing that, because we do get a lot of visitors like that at our open houses. It's nice to see them really having a nice time and enjoying it.
It really is. And, I hope to, kind of provide that same sort of comfort or something to that degree that you provided for them in the future. And I'm sure RJ does as well. And, just kind of showing that this community is open to anybody.
Yeah, I get that comfort too. I did a video about maybe like 2 years ago where I was sitting in our yard panel and I just did switching with a diesel switcher. And I was moving stuff. I assembled some trains, and I did the whole thing. I was holding my phone at the DCS remote for an hour, holding it up and recording it. And every now and again, if I come home from work and I'm just fried, I can sit and watch my New Haven switcher switch freight cars for an hour. It is so, and I've had people message me on YouTube, "Hey, this is such a great relaxing video. I just turn it on and just, just watch it go." It is soothing.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that as well. I'm sure RJ has as well. But just like, I'm come home and I'm like stressed. I just run my post-war turbine. I love watching it go down the outer rail, and I have a GG1 go on the inner loop. It's just stuff like that. Anything you want to add, RJ?
Yeah, just trains being a stress reliever, a constant, always there. Always for you to something to tinker with and get your mind off. And it's really great that we're trying to build up this community, especially amongst the younger people in the hobby, because we're out there. It's just that we gotta form together. But going off this idea of community, because I'm sure the process is similar amongst train clubs. But if somebody has a train club in their area, how would you explain, the process of joining and trying to become a member of your local train club?
If you want to become a train club member, they're not going to ask you to join the club. So just going to their open houses, commenting on YouTube videos or Facebook, if you want to join a club, you have to ask. And I don't know any train club out there that if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I'd like to join your club," that they're going to say no. Every club is different. I know, not to get into the ins and outs, but I know just between my club and TMB, also on Long Island, we both run our clubs completely differently, which is interesting because I think some people might like the way that they do it better. Some people might like the way we do it better. I don't think either of us do it right or wrong. Just, for example, with our club at our open houses, if you bring down a train, everybody gets to run your train. We run at shifts. I know at other clubs, you bring your train down, you run your train, and that's it. So that's the thing too, is if you have multiple clubs, you find which one suits you better. I know some people like that you can come down here and at an open house, you can run 10 guys trains. And I met people that were like, I don't want people running my train. Okay. It's cool. There's something. It's good. Ask questions. Just say, "Hey, I like your club. What's up?"
Great. Thank you for that advice. I'm still trying to find some kind of train club near me, but hopefully I can get to that point one day in the future.
I've one thing I've heard, which actually I'm kind of jealous of. I've been hearing about these like round robin type clubs. Like, there's a club that's called the Detroit Three Railers. That it seems like it's 10 different guys in the Detroit area. That every month, before COVID, every month they were meeting up at a member's house, and they'd all run trains on the layout. And one of the members would do a video of it, and then on YouTube, you'd see the whole run session. So I thought that was a great idea. I'd love to do that as well as doing this, where, you know, one Friday a month, you go to some guy's house, you bring a train with you, you all hang out and have a couple of drinks. But it's kind of a little bit different. Instead of everyone kind of congregating in one place, everyone's congregating in a bunch of different places. Mm-hmm. So, hey, you've got the layout. All you got to do is find 2 more people in your area with layouts, and there you go. You got a round robin club.
Yeah. I'm hoping, you know, once this COVID thing releases and, you know, just kind of eases up a little bit, I'll be able to visit people like RJ and other people I've had on the podcast and stuff like that, and really get to have that personal connection that I've already had, but to take it to another level. So
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know a lot of people I'm looking forward to people coming back, just because the amount of work that we've gotten done on the layout over the last couple of months. I don't know if regular visitors will notice. To me, just, I guess I look at the layout every week for the last 15 years. I see improvement. So hopefully other people will too.
Do you have like for people who are interested, do you have like a social media page for the club?
Yeah. So the club is on Facebook at Nassau Lionel Operating Engineers. We post onto that very regularly. On Instagram, we are at Nassau _NLOE. And then on YouTube, Nassau Lionel. You'd think they would all be synced up and have the same name, but that's too easy. Too easy.
It's too easy.
Yeah. Well, one guy started the Facebook page, and then I started posting a lot of, you know, he runs it, and I post a lot of content to it. The YouTube page was my personal YouTube page that ended up being 90% club videos. So I took a couple of personal videos off and then just changed the name and said, hey, this is our train club YouTube page now.
So we've been saying it a lot, the Nassau Lionel, and I've heard the story a couple times. Do you guys actually have a special agreement, or a relationship would be the better word, with Lionel that allows you to actually use their name in your club name?
Yeah, so it goes back to 1983 when the club was originally founded and chartered. There weren't a lot of O-Gauge clubs. There was one O-Gauge club that had just gone defunct on Long Island. And a couple of guys got together and said, hey, we want to bring back an O-Gauge club. I don't know how they really got permission, but somebody wrote a letter to Lionel and said, hey, we're going to start a club. We want to use the name Lionel in the name of the club to promote the club. Because at the time, Lionel, 1983, there was just Lionel. There was nobody else. And they really wanted to let people know, hey, we're running Lionel trains here. We're not like the 8 HO clubs that are on the layout on the island right now. And luckily, whoever wrote that up basically made it permanent. So the way from what I've been told it was basically like, yeah, here you go. You guys are good forever. And we have a great relationship with Lionel. We do a limited edition club car with Lionel every year.
Yep.
That we design, that we put out. And I think having the name and having the good relationship that we've always had and the open dialogue with them, I think helps both of us. Because, you know, we go to York and a lot of us know a lot of the staff. Like I like to think that Ryan Kunkel, when he sees me coming, he's like, oh no, that guy again. I've gotten very good at telling him exactly what I want. He's getting really good at making exactly what I want. Ryan Kunkel,
coming?
If you're watching this, Ryan, remember I asked you for 21-inch congressional cars. Wait. So we've got 2 club cars on the way. Our 2020 car and our 2019 car should both be here in September. Our milk car and our piggyback car.
I will definitely watch out for those personally, and maybe try to pick a piece up or something like that. That's cool. Thank you for sharing that information.
Sure.
Great. Anything you want to add, RJ, before we move on to the next segment? Or
I've asked all my questions that I had right now.
Great. So we're going to end the Q&A session of the podcast. And so now, Greg, would you mind kind of showing us around the layout and kind of showing the roster, the engine roster of the club and stuff like that?
All right. I don't know if that was too loud. I just hit startup. So right now on the layout, the majority of the trains are all mine. I went a little crazy and brought a lot of stuff down. I've got our 1 yard pretty much full. You'll see it's a lot of Pennsylvania. I got a lot of Pennsylvania stuff.
Tell them to close that up.
I've got 2 MTHK4s. Let's see if we can put it that. It's actually working. I'll show you the con system, and then I'll give you a walk around. So I got a whole bunch of baggage cars from Weaver, Golden Gate Depot, and then these are all going to be Golden Gate Depot sleepers. Diner. And observation. So I'll start us. So I'll do a walk around the layout. I'll try and show as much as I can. So I'll start us off here. This is our west yard. Got it pretty packed. The intermodal yard. Unfortunately, there's no intermodal train on it really to show. Right behind. And we have plenty of places to park trains. We have less than carload warehouses for transferring. And we'll bring back the nice look at our mountain. There's a whole line up on top of the mountain up there. A roundhouse area. This roundhouse actually dates back to the early 1980s. This was the original roundhouse on the old club layout that was saved and brought over to here. You got a highway to go that goes, you know, basically from one corner to the other corner. Nice little shot of the roundhouse. Got our big old city.
That's a lot of buildings.
A lot of just repainted, out of the box, broken down, repainted kits, kit bashes. This is that standard 3 MTH banks into the Union Station that was in OGR like 10 years ago that everybody built for their layout. We got to have ours. I'll try and show the platforms for the station are down underneath.
Wow, that's cool.
Subway tile wall. I work in printing, so I was able to print that wall right onto a foam board, and all we had to do was just install it right in.
Wow, that's awesome.
So everybody, you know, brings stuff from their job in. We have the Lionel Ferris wheel and merry-go-round. A lot of people own these accessories and never set them up and use them.
Yeah.
And we talked about how are we going to get an amusement park on the layout. And I said, well, instead of an amusement park, how about just a regular park that has a Ferris wheel and has a merry-go-round? And it seemed to go over pretty well because the idea of doing a whole amusement park was just, you know, too daunting. That's a scratch-built building. We had this weird corner. We didn't know it was going to fit there. One of our guys is just a really great model builder. You give him a space and they'll make something that fits there. Our little our homage to Long Island City, the Sunshine Biscuits Factory. Our very under construction harbor. So right over here is where the hidden military base is. Unfortunately, I went to test it out and something is unplugged. So when I pushed the button, it didn't come up. So I will send you guys a video of it operating. Okay. Maybe you can add that in later.
All right.
I will, let's keep the tour going. I'll keep going around.
That's some viaduct or bridge you guys got going across the layout there.
Yeah, this was all hand built. The structures were all, one of the guys, again, too, just one guy, he's a master woodworker.
Mm-hmm.
This was all wood that, you know, he made a jig to bend the wood so we could have one solid piece. And then we painted it concrete. So you'd think it was poured concrete, but it's all solid wood. And that's part of the loop for the mountain. We have our branch line town. We have our wooden bridge. Can't have a John Club layout without the wooden bridge. It's, you know, it's Them's the rules.
But what's the point of having a club layout if it doesn't have a giant wood trestle on it?
Yeah. This is our, we've got a large gorge where the 4 main lines all kind of converge along the bottom. We've got some big bridges going across. And our train has caught up with us, so we can get a shot of it going through.
So how many trains at one time can you run?
You know what, RJ? I'm sorry. It's so loud. I didn't hear you.
It's okay.
Give me 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, what was that?
How many trains at one time can you run on the layout?
Well, conventionally, we have 5 mains, so conventionally you can run 5. The most we've had running with command control and DCS simultaneously, I think, was 12. It ran beautiful until we didn't pay attention. One ran into the back of another one, and we said that was fun. Okay, so we got our ice depot. We've got our tank farm. This is our smaller freight yard. And this was, I'll show you guys, this was what kind of started off all the redoing of the scenery. Our scrap yard, back in March, we decided to redo the scrap yard. So this whole scene was ripped out. And this is all a brand new scene. A couple of members took some pieces home, painted some stuff, weathered some stuff, and then we put it all together. So this was kind of a good team effort for COVID, without having to have a lot of guys coming down here. Over here, there is a smaller diesel facility that is under reconstruction right now. So it's been removed. All the details were removed. All the scenery was improved behind it. This is new ballast, new ground foam. So that diesel shop will be back in a couple of weeks. And we have our beautiful little town. So this is kind of the corner when I was saying before about when people come in, when they come in the door. I'll show you the view that they get. So they come in and they just see this. And they're like, oh man, they're like, look at that, that's huge. And the whole thing is when they come in, they come around this way and they start to see, it just keeps going. And it's pretty cool the way the vantage point is, because the more you have to kind of come all the way around before you can see all the way down. And that's why I think we get that great reaction.
Yeah.
So I'll step it up a little bit, kind of come around. I want to give you guys a shot of our control panel, and you'll be able to see the mountain line from there. Our major diesel facility, transfer table. So this is our control tower.
Oh my goodness.
We have the MTHC 4000s.
It's what dreams are made of.
We have 5 main lines. So we have one panel here. This is main lines 3 and 4. Main lines 1 and 2. And then our mountain line has its own panel. And I hope you can see.
Oh my goodness.
That's the whole mountain line up there. So the mountain line itself is, that alone would be an impressive layout. And then since you can't see anything, we've got cameras all around, so you can't lose your train. And when you have the inevitable uncoupling, we have switches that are inside the mountain. So we have cameras on the switches in the mountain. We have a reverse loop in the mountain. So nothing's left to chance. We're pretty much covered everywhere we go. So hope you guys are impressed.
I am very impressed personally. Oh my gosh.
Sam,
I haven't seen every episode. Is this the first episode you're getting a layout tour on?
Yeah.
All right. So I like being the standard to which everybody else is going to be held up to.
Yeah, I don't know how many people can compare your their layouts to the club layout there.
Listen, you know what? Like, like everything in the world, size isn't always everything. I've seen some 10 by 10 layouts that I'm like, oh man, I wish I could pull off.
Yeah.
On a 35 by 85, would you pulled off on a 10 by 10? So it's really, I've seen layouts that are just post-war layouts. They're just tubular track on a green painted board that just have a lot of track and a lot of switches and a lot of accessories. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, let me do so as much as I love a scale engine, I'm like, oh, let me unload the log car. There we go. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
That's it.
Awesome.
So that's the layout.
Thank you for showing. That's amazing. I definitely got to make it up there now. It's like my list is adding on to people I need to visit, and it's just like,
yeah. Well, definitely, while Island alone, around Christmas time, you got at least 7 or 8 clubs you can come visit.
Yeah.
Hey, you can crash at RJ's house. He won't mind.
Yeah. I've got an extra bedroom for you, Sam.
Thank you. All right. Well, as we kind of wrap things up here, any closing thoughts that you have for us?
No, you guys, I want to tell you, you guys are doing a great job with the podcast. I'll admit I haven't watched every episode yet.
It's okay. It's okay.
I did enjoy, and I'm really looking forward to the future episodes and seeing. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing people that I've never seen their videos or heard about them kind of popping up out of nowhere. That'll be cool.
Yep.
And I just started an Instagram page for my trains, O-Gauge Greg, which I should have done forever ago. But it's funny when I heard Matt talk, you guys like talking about it like with Matt and everybody. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I got a million pictures on my phone, a million videos of my trains. I post them on my regular Instagram, and everyone's like, well, that's cool. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, there's actually people that just want to see this. So I'm devoting all of my stuff to that.
Okay, we will definitely link all the appropriate links in the description of this podcast when it's released.
Excellent.
Yep. All right, and that's kind of why I started the podcast, is so some people can see other people's layouts and get to know their story, and they may not have known about them before.
Yep.
So just kind of sharing the love of trains with everybody, just getting everyone talking trains at the end of the day.
Sounds like a pretty good day.
Thank you. Anything you want to add, RJ?
I just wanted to thank Greg for coming on. It's really impressive club layout that you guys got there. I don't know how I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's definitely on my must-see list for the next open house you guys have there. And just thank you for your insight.
Once COVID ends, I'll sneak you in.
All right, sounds good. And I just wanted to thank you for giving your insights about train clubs. I'm sure there are a lot of viewers out there that are wondering about the train club process.
And there's people that are probably like, oh man, that guy's got it right. And I'm sure somebody's watching, that guy has no clue what he's talking about. So just so you know, we're all right and we're all wrong. That's the great thing.
Yep. All right. Well, again, thank you for coming on. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you to Matty C's Trains who introduced me to you. So that's
right on. And maybe a future episode, you'll have us both on, and I'll just give each other a hard time for 20 minutes and have a good time.
So many potential ideas here. So
right on.
Again, thank you. And thank you, viewers, for watching the podcast. Please make sure to stick every Friday. We publish a new podcast. Make sure to stick around and see the other ones that are coming up in the future. Again, thank you guys all for coming on.
All right. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, not a problem. And we'll
Great
see
to meet
you guys
in person too.
Yes. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.